With Pamela Anderson releasing her new book and her biography showing up on Netflix recently, the actress revealed how the movie Borat, which she appeared in, led to her and Kid Rock divorcing and eventually led to her exes confronting one another at the MTV Video Music Awards. Stay tuned for the full story. Released in 2006, the Sacha Baron Cohen movie Borat: Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan sees Baron Cohen play a journalist from Kazakhstan who comes to America to learn about the country's culture and customs. Borat would leave his wife back home, and upon entering America, learns his wife has been killed by a bear. After seeing an episode of Baywatch on television, Borat makes it his mission to find Pamela Anderson and make her his new wife, and travels to California to meet her. Borat meets Anderson at a book signing at a Virgin megastore, and after showing Anderson his traditional marriage sack, Borat pursues her through the store in an attempt to abduct her until security guards subdue him. While of course the whole scene is scripted and Anderson was in on the whole gag, the fans at the signing allegedly weren't. Baron Cohen would tell the Daily Beast, "We did that scene twice actually. The first time we did it at a book signing and I grabbed her over my shoulder and ran out with her and no one did anything. I was like, what kind of fans are these?" The second take drew more of a reaction, but Anderson was accidentally injured in the ensuing struggle when fans tried to stop Borat from kidnapping her. Kid Rock, whose real name is Robert Bob Ritchie, would marry Anderson in 2006. In Anderson's new book, Love, Pamela, she would write fondly about Kid Rock and how he interacted with her children that she shared with Mötley Crüe drummer Tommy Lee, whom she was married to from 1995 to 1998. However, she would write the moment that led to the pair splitting up, about how the couple went to a screening of the movie Borat at some bigwig Hollywood producer's home, writing, "Lots of important industry people were there. Steven Spielberg, Rick Rubin, Laird Hamilton and his wife. I didn't tell Bob I was in the movie because I wanted to surprise him. I forgot about the part in the film that referenced the sex tape. Bob stormed out calling me an expletive and worse. He was embarrassed and his reaction was not thought through. She would chase Kid Rock out to the parking lot, adding, 'He peeled out, leaving me there alone. I turned back and apologized, then asked if anyone could give me a ride home. When I walked in, Bob was smashing a photo on the wall. He said he was sick of waking up to a picture of me and David LaChapelle every day. But it wasn't me and David, it was Marilyn Monroe and Burt Stern. We broke up. I didn't stay in touch with Bob.' They would divorce the following year in 2007, and it was the same year that Anderson would run into her ex at the 2007 MTV Video Music Awards. In the lead up to the award show, Kid Rock would reveal to K-Rock that Tommy Lee had taunted him following his divorce with Anderson, saying, and I quote, "Last contact I had with him was when me and Pam were going through a divorce. He picked up her BlackBerry and started emailing me a lot of horrendous things. He was extremely disrespectful." He would go on to say he received messages during birthday parties for one of Lee's kids he shared with Pamela Anderson, telling The Guardian, "There was a lot of years of disrespect, but I was part of the kids' lives, so I wasn't going to be disrespectful about him around the kids. I calmly told him, 'Listen, I'll see you again,' and that was the end of it, because I don't talk, you know." Fast forward to the 2007 MTV VMAs, and Kid Rock and Tommy Lee were in attendance in addition to Pamela Anderson, who was the presenter that night. During the time Anderson was on stage, Lee whistled at his ex from his seat. Anderson would write in her book that a fight took place between her exes, as Alicia Keys was performing on stage her song No One, writing, "Tommy and Bob dove at each other, fists were flying, and the whole thing ended up on live TV. I walked out and Alicia didn't miss a beat, kept on singing. It was a setup. MTV must have been thrilled." Kid Rock, meanwhile, would tell K-Rock, "The best thing I ever did was I filed for divorce. You have to go through these things to realize that, I was in love with her, I went through it, I did what I had to do, but thank God I got out of it. I knew it was a bad career move to get involved with her because your life becomes a circus, because that's what she wants is media attention." Rock, for his part, would be cited for misdemeanor battery for assault on Lee, who wasn't able to get a punch in the brawl. Rock was not detained or taken into police custody, but was instead issued a summons to appear in court at a later date. Baron Cohen, meanwhile, would say that he texted Anderson after the screening of the movie and asked, "How did it go? What did he think?" With Anderson texting back, "He's getting divorced." Baron Cohen would recall that when he asked Anderson why, she responded, "The movie," and he would reveal in the same interview, "And I thought it was a joke, but then a few weeks later they got divorced and they put as reason for divorce Borat. I think they were a fantastic couple, so it's a shame, much better than Julian Assange or whoever she dated later on." it wouldn't be the first time Baron Cohen got under the skin of a rock musician. In September of 2010, guitarist Brian May would let it slip that Queen was working on a biopic that actor Sacha Baron Cohen had been pushing for. May would tell the Hard Talk show, "We have Sacha Baron Cohen, which will probably be a shock to a lot of people, but he's been talking with us for a long time." It was initially reported that shooting would begin sometime in 2011, but by April of that year, shooting hadn't begun yet. Brian May would give an update telling the Daily Record that they were still in discussions with Cohen and that the actor told him personally that he was born to play Freddie. However, May would reveal that the rest of the Queen organization was reluctant to do a film, fearing it could hurt the band's legacy, stating, "It is a project which is taking up a lot of time, even though it's in the preparatory stages. It is a bit too early to say how we will feel about it. Obviously, we go into it with a great amount of enthusiasm, but also a certain amount of caution because Freddie's legacy is very precious, and we have a great responsibility not to mess it up. It is more about Freddie than it is about us, and that is deliberately so. We have resisted making this film for a long time, and it is only now we feel we have the right people that we could have given it the okay. Sacha does seem perfect. If it hadn't been for Sacha pushing and pushing, we wouldn't be at this point. We didn't choose him, he chose us. He's passionate about playing Freddie. For years, he's been saying he's going to do it," May would conclude. Then a few years would go by, and in July of 2013, it was reported that Cohen and Queen had parted ways on the project. It was reported at the time that creative differences led to the split, with Cohen wanting the biopic to be nitty-gritty, while Queen wanted the movie to be more restrained and sanitized. Brian May would claim that the two parted ways on good terms, but in 2014, both May and drummer Roger Taylor gave an update on the film, and May would tell Classic Rock magazine, "In the end, we felt his presence in the movie would be very distracting. We thought there has to be no distraction in the Freddie movie. You have to really suspend that disbelief. The man who plays Freddie, you really have to believe in Freddie. And we didn't think that could really happen with Sacha." May would go on to say that he was a fan of Cohen, but drummer Roger Taylor was less enthusiastic, saying, "We don't want it to be a joke, we want people to be moved." In 2016, Cohen would appear on Howard Stern's show on SiriusXM and gave his version of events and made a surprising revelation of the original script and why he walked away.
You were working on this biopic of Freddie Mercury and
Yes.
Queen. You worked on it for 6 years.
Yeah.
The whole thing fell apart. The band, Queen, wanted to clean it up, and you wanted to get into the nitty-gritty, right?
Yes.
What does the nitty-gritty mean? Like, you wanted to get into his sex life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are amazing stories about Freddie Mercury. You know,
Crazy.
The guy was wild. I mean, he was living an extreme lifestyle.
Debauchery.
I mean, there are stories of, I don't know what you call them, that little people. What is the technical
little
term?
people.
Little
Yes.
people with, plates with cocaine on their heads walking around parties. So,
What a scene.
but you got to remember, and I understand it, they are a band. They want to protect their legacy as a
Right,
band. They
yeah.
want it to be about Queen, and I fully understand
So
that.
why didn't you have that discussion with them up front?
My first meeting, I should have never carried on because a member of the band, I won't say who, said...
Brian May.
I won't say who.
Yeah.
But he said, this is such a great movie because it's got such an amazing thing happens in the middle of the movie.
Uh-huh.
I go, well, what happens in the middle of the movie? He goes, Freddie dies.
Middle of the movie.
I go, all right. So you mean it's a bit like Pulp Fiction? The end is the middle, and the middle is the end. I go, all right. That's really that's
Innovative.
a wild movie. All right, that's interesting. I never thought about that. He goes, no, normal movie. I go, so wait a minute, what happens in the second half of the movie? He said, well, we see how the band carries on from strength to strength.
In 2018, the film would finally be released, and while promoting it to the Associated Press, Roger Taylor would slam Cohen again, saying, "It was never really on with Cohen. I don't think he took it seriously enough. He didn't take Freddie seriously enough. I think it's been a long road, but we're at the end of it now," he'd say. Taylor most recently gave an interview this year where he echoed those comments, telling Classic Rock magazine what would have happened if Cohen had played Freddie, saying, "I think it would have been utter Sacha is pushy, if nothing else. He's also 6 inches too tall. But I watched his last 5 films and came to the conclusion that he's not a very good actor. I thought he was an utterly brilliant subversive comedian. That's what he's great at. Anyway, I think Rami did a brilliant job in an almost impossible role." After Cohen's departure, the film would be in limbo for a few more years, as writers and directors came and went, and the script would have to be rewritten before being finally released in late 2018. Bohemian Rhapsody would be nominated for several Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor, which Rami Malek would win. The film itself would be a massive hit, grossing nearly $1 billion worldwide at the box office. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again on Rock and Roll Your Stories. Take care.